Thanks, Kerry, and good afternoon, everyone. Very pleased to be telling the Sunstone story, as always. Standard disclaimer for forward-looking statements. So let's have a snapshot of Sunstone. Market capitalisation is sitting at about $40 million. Funding is around $5 million, so we're well funded for our current work program. And importantly, board and management are absolutely aligned with shareholders, and we're putting our own cash into this company, together holding 5%. But let's talk about Ecuador. Some of you may have read press articles over the last few months about some civil unrest in Ecuador that needs addressing. So the important thing is, before I talk about that, it hasn't impacted our operations at all in Ecuador, nor the operations of every other mining and exploration company in country. So the civil unrest is related to the government clamping down on drug gangs transporting drugs from Colombia and Peru through Ecuador. So it's not drug production in Ecuador, it's transport routes. And the reason they're doing that is that it's the easiest route for them at the moment. So I'm sure over time it will move elsewhere. And the government is actually rolling their sleeves up and dealing with this, which we're all pleased to see. But to give you an example of the lack of impact on our industry in Ecuador, Lundin Gold, who are the largest gold producer in Ecuador and have an operation down in the southeast part of the country there, one of the best gold mines in the world. They produced 500,000 ounces last year at 10 grams per tonne. They've announced that their largest exploration program ever to be undertaken in Ecuador is to be undertaken in 2024. We look at Lumina Gold, who are developing the Cangrejos project just to the north of us at Bramaderos. They've recently announced the study team for their feasibility study, and last year announced strategic investments into their company. Ecuacoriente, who operates the Mirador mine, again in the southeast of the country, they recently announced a strategic investment from Zijin Mining, the large $40 billion market cap Chinese company that operates globally, a strategic investment of $130 million at a premium to their share price. And just recently, a couple of juniors, Adventus and Luminex, two TSX listed companies, have merged and they've received the permits to start construction on their El Domo Curipamba project. So there's a lot happening, there's a lot of activity, and Ecuador is a good place to invest in mineral exploration. The government strongly supports it. New President Noboa is very public in his statements about supporting responsible mining, and he sees the foreign companies as bringing in skills, investment, and really growing that industry so it contributes to GDP. So we don't see that there's a sovereign risk. It's a great place to invest. It's a great place to undertake mineral exploration. So what's the Sunstone opportunity? Great commodities. We're in gold, copper and silver, three commodities that I'm sure many investors want exposure to, particularly at the moment. Sunstone is very much a discovery opportunity. The track record of the team at Sunstone has been very successful in discovering very large bodies of gold, copper and silver, porphyries and epithermals around the world. And we have exposure to two giant projects, Bramaderos in the south and El Palmar in the north. Today I'll talk mainly about Bramaderos, but certainly come and talk to us at our booth or come and visit us in Milton and we can give you a very comprehensive overview. Importantly about Bramaderos, this is a discovery story, but it's a staged development opportunity. So there's a smaller, high-grade opportunity that will get you started. And these are the sorts of projects that other companies are looking for. You don't dive in with a very large development up front. You can stage this development with a high-grade at-surface mineralisation at a target called Le Monde, which I'll talk about in a bit of detail. Environment, social and governance issues are embedded in our business. Last year we were proud to release our inaugural sustainability report. There are copies of that report at our booth here at the conference. It really explains to you how we're interacting with stakeholders and community, and that will drive support for exploration and drive support for development. So let's talk about Bramaderos. Very well located. You fly into a city called Loja on a commercial flight. It takes less than an hour from the capital city of Quito to fly down there. You hop in a vehicle, travel on the Pan American Highway, which is a bitumen road, for about an hour and 15 minutes, and you're at our project site. We've got a very well-established office and core processing facility, and our projects are easily accessed on walking tracks from that facility. You can see there Limon, 2.7 kilometres from that facility. Brahma Alba is a couple of kilometres. All of them are accessible to the Pan American Highway. So getting to our project sites, working, getting drill rigs in, all hand supported, very, very easy. We're only 900 metres above sea level, and the power infrastructure is linked into the Ecuadorian grid, which is 93% renewable, primarily hydropower. So again, when we're thinking of large developments, that's where you want to be, have all that infrastructure in place. So Bramaderos, how do we view Bramaderos? The best way to view Bramaderos is that there's a cluster of large porphyry deposits, so they're gold, copper deposits, large tonnage, low grade. And then associated with those, and this is geologically predictable, are epithermal deposits, which are smaller tonnage, higher grade. So that gives us this wonderful stage development opportunity where you can start on the smaller, higher grade deposits and over time move into the large earth-moving exercises, essentially, that porphyry deposits are. And it makes it affordable. So in our case, Brahma Alba is a porphyry. That's got a mineral resource on it already of 2.7 million ounces gold equivalent. So that's gold plus copper plus silver. In addition to that resource of that area and Melanal, which is another porphyry next door, there's an exploration target of between 3.3 and 8.6 million ounces. So these are big numbers. Mineralisation from surface, low grade. But then you add the epithermals. So Limon, we released a exploration target for Limon late last year. That's between 0.9, 1.7 million ounces gold equivalent, gold plus silver, high grade at surface. So that's the starter opportunity and a very good development in its own right. So that's how you look at Bramaderos. It's a portfolio of deposits, all accessible to one another. Ultimately, it will have a central processing facility not far off a highway, and an ideal development opportunity. But there's still a lot more to be found. So this will grow. We've said our target is 10 million ounce district. We're certainly line of sight to that. And obviously that gets reviewed as we do more drilling. So this is what it looks like. Pretty arid actually for a lot of the year. 3 months of the year it rains in the wet season, but the rest of the time it's hot and dusty. This is Brahma Alba. So we're mining from surface when we get to develop this large porphyry, low strip ratio. It's basically a hill, and that photo there is taken from Melanal, which is the other nearby porphyry system. Limon. So everywhere we trench, everywhere we sample in Limon, we find gold and silver related to the epithermal system. So this is very large. So again, not much vegetation because the rocks are so altered that they don't support much vegetation, and they're altered to silica and clay. And in with that silica and clay is gold and silver in high-grade structures and in low-grade disseminations. So the area is 1.7 kilometres by 700 metres. This is a very large area of mineralisation. In plan, this is what it looks like. So the yellow pattern there is the gold in soil anomaly, so that guides us. This graphic was in an ASX release we put out on yesterday, with trench results. So the trench results are really important. That's what our focus is at the moment. What we do is we hand dig to depths of between 30 centimetres and a metre and a half. We get down to bedrock, and then we channel sample that bedrock. And then we put all those samples in 1 to 2 metre lengths into the laboratory. So it's the equivalent of a horizontal drill hole. And that data feeds in ultimately to our mineral resource estimate. So this is extremely valuable data. And what we're finding with this trenching is everywhere we sample, we find gold and silver. And those grades can range up to 20 or 30 grams of gold. And yesterday's results included grades of up to 200 grams of silver. So very, very promising. So People say, when are you going to release a mineral resource? We will once we get a better handle on the absolute scale of this opportunity. But our exploration target is a guide, and then we'll do more trenching to get more data, followed by drilling, and then the process is to work out a mineral resource estimate. But just to give you some idea, this is the central chute. So this is the focus of our exploration target last year. And hole 40 was a phenomenal hole. So that was in our last drilling program, 269 metres at just over a gram gold equivalent. So that's gold plus silver. A great grade for a bulk open pit mining operation that starts at surface. But within that, 124 metres at nearly 2 grams. And within that, we had about, I think it was 11 metres at 14 grams. So a high-grade system that will support a significant development. And we're finding from our trenching that we've got multiples of these scattered through the project. And then I'll just touch very briefly, geologically predictable, I said earlier. In the centre of these epithermal systems are porphyries. We've got one at Le Mans. We'll drill that eventually. We've put one hole into it and it had double the resource grade of Brahma Alba. So this is a massive opportunity to be dealt with later in the year. So the opportunity, to repeat myself again, line of sight to 10 million ounce endowment through the project. We've got mineral resources, we've got exploration targets that are telling us that 10 million ounces is achievable. A staged development opportunity where you start small, you build up, and then you tackle the large porphyry opportunity in a great location with existing infrastructure. Very briefly, I'll touch on our northern Ecuador projects, El Palmar. It's a very similar story. We've recently discovered high-grade gold and silver at surface. That's what we're following up at the moment. We're doing a lot of trench sampling there. But the initial work was focused on a large porphyry because we're in the same belt of rocks that contain the 3 billion tonne Cascabel deposit known by SolGold, of which the Sunstone team were involved in that discovery, so we know the area well, and the 1 billion tonne Urimagua deposit owned by Codelco and the Ecuadorian government. So these are the porphyry clusters, and then you can see off on the margin, again, very similar story to Le Mans, porphyry clusters and on the margins, higher grade epithermals. So the higher grade epithermals are the focus of our current work at the moment. But the porphyry, it's important to grasp the scale of this opportunity. We've got mineralisation from surface, some very good grades, gold and copper, and we've drilled that on one of the targets from surface down to about 500 metres below surface. And then we've also drilled at 1 kilometre below surface and found similar grades. So the scale of the opportunity is that which is attractive to some of the larger resource companies globally. The grades, as I said, you can see an example there, over a gram of gold, up to nearly 0.5% copper. Very attractive grades for a porphyry opportunity. And then this is the epithermal, so we're seeing grades in excess of 5 grams of gold and grades locally in excess of 50 grams of silver. It's currently sampling that, currently trench sampling that, and following up the opportunity. We managed to secure also an agreement to explore the property called Verde Chico, which is off to the west. So that's about 3 or 4 kilometres west of El Palmar. It gives us a much larger land position in this area. It's on the same geological structures, and historically Rio Tinto did some exploration in the 1990s and identified a 1 kilometre long gold zone with gold values up to 45 grams. So we're currently in there doing soil sampling and we'll advance that project. Importantly, between El Palmar and Verde Chico is an operating gold mine. It's small, it's operated by an Ecuadorian company, but this is absolutely a gold belt with copper credits in the form of the porphyry opportunities. So what's ahead? Focus on Le Mans. We're focusing on the higher grade Le Mans. We're going to build that up to a mineral resource ultimately. We're going to define the scale of that. That's the ideal starter opportunity. We'll then move back to some of the porphyries and continue drilling those and give people a lot of confidence that this 10 million ounce line of sight for the project is there in resources. El Palmar, earlier stage, but again, focusing on the higher grade material, and Verde Chico will will advance to corroborate those results that were delivered by Rio Tinto a couple of decades ago. So that's the story. Thanks very much for your time. And as Kerry said at the outset, we're based in Milton. Give us a call or come and see us. Happy to talk about the story further when we've got a bit more time. Thank you.